Check 1, 2. Okay, so we got the mains on, ignition on. We've added 10 gallons of fuel. That's put into the fuel totalizer. Get the GPS ready to go. Turn the fuel pump on. Set the mixture. I'll go to throttle, set the brakes. Give it a few shots of prime. 6 as a matter of fact, because it's been sitting for a while. That ain't good at all. Now the battery voltage is showing very low. We ain't going anywhere.
This video has been a long time coming. And the reason is the tale of 2 batteries. I came out here to fly late November of 2022 and I had a dead battery. It is now March 23rd, 2023, and I finally was able to get the battery I need. Anyway, finally I got one from T.Performance, and in the end it probably took a week and a half to get it from them versus 3.5 months of run around and giving me BS from partsengines.ca. Like, I don't know why it was such a problem. How these guys could get a battery in within inside of 2 weeks, and these guys screwed me around for 3.5 to 4 months. It's just ridiculous. A sure sign of not flying enough is when you arrive at the airport and you got a dead battery. So, as you saw previously, I went to turn over the engine and it would barely turn over. Certainly wasn't going to turn over enough to start. But I am going to put it on a higher charge. I've got a 12 amp charger here and I'm going to charge it for a couple hours at 12 amps. And then I'll put it on a trickle charge at 2 amps overnight. And we'll see what happens. But in all likelihood, this is going to have to be replaced. It's been a good battery. I think I bought this 8 or 9 years ago. I'll show you the receipts that I've got and see what the price was. Seems to me I paid about 300 and some odd American dollars for this 8 or 9 years ago. My gut feeling is it's going to be $500 or $600 now with all this COVID bullshit. The interesting thing is, this is the original battery, PC1200. This is now its replacement. They're changing their naming for some reason. It's no longer a PC1200. It's called an ODS AGM42L. Has the exact same specs, exact same size, weight, connectors, etc. So my plan for today, is to get it into the airplane, get it hooked up, pull this baby out and see if maybe I can get this thing started. I haven't started this airplane, haven't ran this airplane since October, like I say, November or December of 2022. And it's the first winter in all my years of flying that I never flew it once during the winter months. And that's a shame. I like flying in the wintertime. Just the airplane just performs better, thicker air, better lift. You get more thrust from your propeller and the engine makes more power. And for those of you who say, oh, how does the engine make more power in the wintertime? Well, it makes more power in the wintertime because the air is more dense. Simply stated, it's easy to flood your engine, to put more fuel in it. You just open a tap and pour the fuel in. What's difficult with engines is to make them breathe and get enough air into the engine to match the amount of fuel you can put in it. You can always put more fuel into an engine than you can possibly get air in it. And that's why engines back in World War II had superchargers, and today what they're doing with engines to make them more efficient and etc. is they're making them smaller and smaller displacement, but putting turbochargers on them. And what does turbocharging do? Turbocharger pumps in air. So wintertime is a free supercharger for aircraft. So what it does is that you can't get more horsepower from air, but the air allows you to burn more fuel. So the only way to get more horsepower is to burn more fuel. And in wintertime, it allows you to do that for free. I don't have to add a turbo. I don't have to have a supercharger. I'm getting more induction air. Therefore, I can pour in more fuel. I can make more horsepower, and you do make more horsepower. Now, for people who are only in the automotive industry that say, well, if you were making more, you're making more horsepower, you should get better fuel economy. Well, no, you're not going to get better fuel economy because you are burning more fuel. There is a proper air-fuel ratio, and that is 14.7 to 1 parts air to fuel. The car systems are very good at maintaining that. They have all kinds of stuff. They have mass air sensors, they have EGT gauges, they have fuel flow, etc. And computers that are all hooked up in an automated loop, and they control that fuel. But because the air is denser, every time those pistons go up and down, they are pulling in the same volume of air. It doesn't matter whether it's wintertime or the hottest day in the summer. The volume is the same, but the mass density of the air is not the same. So that's why in the summertime you get much better mileage in your car. That's the main reason in the wintertime why you get worse mileage, because the engine simply has to burn more fuel. It has no choice. It's getting more air, you can't stop it, and therefore it must burn more fuel to maintain that 14.7 to 1 air-fuel ratio. Anyway, that's a little lesson on engines and fuel management and fuel mixtures. Let's get to getting this battery installed and see if this baby of mine will start after sitting for 4 months. So first I'm going to put a little bit of heat into it and try to warm up the liquid in the radiator while I crawl in the back to put in the battery. Oh, the other interesting thing is today is not a good day to fly, and on top of that I couldn't go flying if I wanted to because it's March 23rd and Joe Biden is coming to town, so all the airspace around Ottawa is going to be shut down within an hour or so anyway. Okay, fuel is on, brakes are set. Let's pull that back, turn on the master. Battery voltage in the green, 3.8 Celsius. Turn the ignition on. Turn on one pump. Give it just a shot of fuel. Alright. Let's give her lots of prime. 1, 2, 6, 7 for good measure. That was positive. Gotta get that cold start switch on. Question would be, why didn't I just go get another battery? Well, there's 2 or 3 reasons for that. The first reason that got me into the long delay was the price. I bought the original battery 10 years ago for about $400 Canadian. The price offered by partsengine.ca was also $400 in 2022, which rolled into 2023. So price was one. The main reason, aviation-wise, is because of if you change a battery, you're now changing weight, and you've got a weight and balance issue. So I didn't want that. I didn't want to change batteries. And the other reason is just personal choice. I always, when I work on things and do things, I always say to myself, go with what you know. And that's been my motto for a long, long time. This battery here, they're rated for 8 to 10 years. I bought this battery in 2013. It is 2023. So this battery is 10 years old. It's at the end of its life. The odd thing is it gave me no sign there was anything wrong with it until the day I came out here to use it, and it was dead. So note to self, don't try to extend battery life to 10 years. I probably should exchange this one after 7 or 8. But the reason I've chosen this battery, the PC1200 or the new model, which I can't remember, is because my aircraft is very electrically dependent. I have a Mazda rotary 13B engine in there. So it has a redundant computer system that drives the fuel injectors. It also controls the ignition. And I also have electric fuel pumps, which have to maintain 40 psi of fuel pressure in my fuel rails for that aircraft. Should anything go wrong with my alternator, I need a lot of reserve power in my battery. And this battery was rated for 78 minutes. That's an hour and 18 minutes. And my airplane flies at about 100 miles an hour. If I was flying in the United States, where airports are about 10 or 20 miles apart, I wouldn't need that much time. But I spend all my time flying up here in Canada, and it's not unusual for airfields to be more than 100 miles apart. If I happen to lose my alternator and I go down to battery only, I've got about an hour's worth of energy left to drive all my systems. I think enough said about that. I'm happy that after 4 months my engine started. Anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully next time you see me, I'll be in the cockpit and we're going for a flight. Take care. Just below the freezing mark, maybe -1 or 31 degrees Fahrenheit. Got the heat on, got a blanket on. Finally going to take this bird up in the air after sitting for 5 months. So today's going to be 5 or 6 circuits and that's it. Just going to stay local, check myself out, check the bird out. Let's see how it goes. 6 shots of power. Bit of throttle.